Welcome to Geeks 4x4, the most budget-oriented off-road channel in all the YouTube. And today we are going to do a comparison for you guys of these two Jeeps. Now you might be thinking you are comparing apples to oranges. You'd probably be right, but are you fully right? These have a lot more in common than you would think. This is a 95, this is a 2006. Last year the TJ, one of the first generations of the ZJ, I think they started making them in 92, 93. And there are a lot of similarities that I don't think a lot of people know. So we are going to jump in and talk about them and show you guys. Let's get right to it. Hold up. Before we get started, I am a YouTuber. You better like and subscribe and hit that notification button. Let's go. All right. So beginning this, we are going to look at, well, from this side. I've got them parked pretty even. They're obviously not straight with each other. The front end is straight right there on the passenger corner. Now let's look at the passenger corner back here. And the ZJ is a little bit longer, it looks like, but it does not have a spare tire coming out the back, so essentially it takes up the spare tire space with that. Now onto the wheelbase. This is the most interesting thing, I think. So everybody says that the 103 of the LJ is really good. A lot of the LJ guys stretch them. This ZJ is 105 wheelbase, so it's 2 inches longer and adds another door. So if you're looking for a four-door that is pretty capable, shorter wheelbase than a JKU by a lot. So one of the best wheelbases ever made. In my mind, these two Jeeps are really, really close in wheelbase, and the way this thing climbs things, and I've wheeled the heck out of this thing, and they both really just work really well. You know, exterior stuff, you guys can tell these are modified very similarly, but there is a big difference. This is long arm. In the next video, we are going to talk about long arm versus short arm, but this has long arms and the LJ has short arms. But as far as the outside, that is the thing. Let's talk about that long arm short arm thing. So on the long arm short arm thing, this generation of XJ is a very popular build. These 90s XJs, and they have the same type of front suspension with coils and four-link type thing with a track bar and everything like that. Not a true four-link, obviously. And control arm stuff as the TJs. But the XJ has leaf springs in the rear. I don't think a lot of people know, but the ZJ is the same rear suspension as a TJ. So this one in particular has a Dana 35 in the back of it. It also has disc brakes on the back, which you could only get on the Rubicons and in TJs, and maybe some of the later ones, but I think it was just a Rubicon thing. So the rear axle on a ZJ and the LJ, you've got disc brakes, you've got control arm suspension with coil springs. So this thing rides fantastically, flex is amazing, and has disc brakes in the back, so that's pretty cool. Dana 30 in the front was standard on ZJs. You could get a 44 in the back, which was an aluminum housing 44. When we went looking, we were kind of happy that this one did not have that in it. It's kind of a weak point, but the 35, you guys all know it has it has C-clips and stuff like that. It has issues as well, but with small tires, we've done really well with this one. It's done great. This obviously is a Rubicon, so it's got Dana 44s, lockers, and stuff like that. But your factory LJ, TJs are a little bit different. Your factory LJ would have come with a Dana 30 in the front and a 44 in the rear. Your TJs could have come with the same axle setup as this, but your TJ would have drum brakes in the rear. So that's something that's kind of hidden on a ZJ, I think. That they all came with disc brakes in the rear, and they all came with control arm suspension in the rear. So if you are looking for a little bit bigger here, the LJ obviously gives you a little bit of space. The front is the same as the TJ, as we've seen in the TJ LJ video, but the back even fits Excursion Super Duty springs. So there's a little bit more room back there than there is in the TJ. Now, the ZJ is even better as far as that goes, because it has a second set of doors. So if you got kids and stuff like that, a nice second row of seats that folds down, and you have all of that space. In case you were wondering, yes, a 265 spare tire does fit inside of this barely. The other big thing that I think is even better than the TJ-LJ on the Grand Cherokees or ZJ, you can get them with 3 different motors. This one is the 5.2 V8. The later model, like 98 and such, you can get a 5.9, which is a big old motor. And you can also get the same 4-liter. But if you're looking for a factory V8 Jeep that has great suspension underneath it and a little bit of room inside, the ZJ, you can get a 5.2 and tow your boat and stuff like that with a factory V8 Jeep. So, kind of interesting. I kind of view the ZJ as a kind of hidden gem under the Jeep community that people don't know. It needed a little bit more work to get to, you know, the same abilities as this. The transfer case on those, if you don't get the one with the selectable 4-wheel drive, you end up with one that's a constant 4-wheel drive, and you really should switch that out if you're going to actually go use it. So this one has a 242 in it, and you know, this obviously comes ready to go. So you switch the transfer case out and, you know, do a little upgrades. But that suspension is actually this, and it's the same suspension. The JKs and the JLs, they even use a version of the same suspension, control arms and coils, and it just works so good off-road that I think that this is a forgotten, and it's cheap right now. So that one's actually for sale if you are interested. This one is completely done, ready to roll. Actually, even the highest scoring, I think, still uncut ZJ on the Metacloak CTI trailer. I have played with that suspension a lot. But anyway, there's a little comparison for you. Like I said in the beginning, apples to oranges, but really, they're so similar. The biggest difference, I kind of joke with people, a ZJ is like an LJ, but the top doesn't come off. Wheelbase is very close. Biggest drawback to the ZJ is it's a unibody, so it kind of creaks and crackles where you're on where the suspension is mounted versus the suspension being mounted underneath you. So anyway, it is a really cool Jeep. Both of these are great, and they really work. They're really much more similar than you would think. All right, there you have it. There is a comparison of what you thought might be apples to oranges, but I think are very similar. These wheel very similar to each other. Automatic transmission versus manual is the biggest difference. This thing works really good. You guys know this thing works really good. This one's for sale. If you are looking for a ZJ, this thing is super clean, low miles, already built, ready for you to go wheel. Thank you for watching. I hope that we start using ZJs. They are fantastic rigs. And thank you for watching. We will see you guys next time.